Yar! Sorry.
Hey, Fitheads. Today we talk with Captain Taylor Morgan. He is a modern day pirate. That's his catchphrase. I don't think we ever talked any piratey things. Oh,
We
his
talked about the
emblem.
compass. We talked about the
Yeah.
treasure map.
Yes.
I've
Okay.
just now said yar because I remember the pirate thing, and I'm mad that I didn't say that when we're during the episode. Spoilers. Not a lot of yar.
Yeah, but
yar!
you don't know. My mother was a saint. What did you say in pirate to him? Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
But he's all about balance, helping men specifically achieve health, happiness, and masculine energy. So this was an interesting one.
It was interesting about like defining success and defining what like thinking about what makes you happy, and that I like that part a lot. Figure out what's going to make you happy, then figure out a roadmap there, then figure out values and purposes or whatever, and then use that as a compass.
Yeah. But the initial idea of questioning what you think would make you happy, I think, is interesting. And he wasn't full on just, oh, be zen and love your life the way it is. It was a balance between figuring out what you really want and achieving, but not achieving too hard. You have to play, I don't know, listen to the episode. It's interesting.
Welcome to Total Fitheads.
Serious fitness for not so serious people. Hello, Captain. Welcome.
Hello, Allie and Max. Thank you. I feel welcomed.
We're so glad to have you. I feel like this is going to be an interesting one.
I know it's going to be an interesting one. We're going to
Max
talk
and I were
about
chatting. Age. Is that moonshine? What do we got in the jug there?
This, of course, yeah, it's moonshine. 100 proof. No, just water. Filtered, of course.
Reverse osmosis, Brita, what are we doing?
Yeah, I don't know exactly. We get 5-gallon jugs delivered. I don't know the specific process that they do. I would imagine that it's reverse osmosis.
I'm only asking because I recently checked LA's water and it turns out it's poisoning me.
Yeah. By the way, for the listeners out there, if you don't know about your tap water, go to ewg.org/tapwater database, type in your zip code. That will bring up a whole bunch of contaminants and toxins and chemicals that have been found in your city's tap water. Pretty alarming.
Yeah. See, he's knowledgeable. Yes. And it's like crazy stuff too. Lithium, which I guess they give you for bipolar sometimes, and then arsenic, which they give you in an old-timey movie to kill you.
Just a bunch of nonsense is what it is. Yeah. Bunch of
all right
stuff to keep us.
Let's get to the focus here. Tell me about the captain's lifestyle.
Wow. Okay. What would you like to know?
I feel like you're a wealth of information. Max and I were talking before we chatted with you, and we're like, we just want to be like, ready, go. We don't even have questions. We just want to let him talk on everything in life.
All right. Well, the captain's lifestyle is what you guys are referring to is my coaching, I imagine. The captain's lifestyle, I'm turning into a media company, which will be my podcast, my show, social media, stuff like that. But the captain's lifestyle is essentially my lifestyle and how I've learned to live healthy, happy, and as productive as I can possibly be. And I've simplified that into what I call the Captain's Code. So the Captain's Code are the 12 fundamental articles by which I lead my life, which we can absolutely get into that. And my logo, this wheel of lifestyle optimization, each of the 8 spokes represents a different pillar of optimal living, and understanding how to properly balance, aka steer, the wheel of lifestyle optimization leads you to the center, which is represented by the yin yang there, aka balance between work and play, masculine and feminine, nature versus technology. And again, to simplify the steering of the captain's or the wheel of lifestyle optimization, I've created the captain's code.
Okay, interesting. So, yeah, I love this idea of balance. I feel like I live a lot of extremes, and that's how I get balance, is by pushing too hard and sleeping too much.
Yeah, well, balance is going to be different for everybody, right? Like my balance is different than Gary Vee's balance is different from your balance. Like everybody has to find their own balance. And that's one of the problems, that everybody's comparing themselves to everybody else. And it's like, well, I'm not where this person is yet. Okay, well, it doesn't matter. I want you to be happy and fulfilled in your life. Stop striving for what you think success is, or what you think that you want, and start thinking about what it is that you actually do want. A lot of people are chasing money. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, and they just want, like I asked one guy, he's like, I want to scale my business, when we were on our consultation call. And I was like, cool, why? And he was like, to make more money. I was like, cool, why? And he was like, he couldn't answer it. He's like, I know I shouldn't say to buy more things, because that's not it. And like he couldn't come up with a reason why he wanted to make more money. So a lot of people have the capacity to live the lifestyle that they want to live. A lot of them just get caught up in the rat race, or just on autopilot doing the same thing over and over, just thinking that, life has to be hard or difficult. So the P in the captain's code is play with life. Especially as adults, we fall into the trap of being so fucking serious all the time, and like all suit and tie, business, and like have fun. What were those things that you loved doing as a child? For me, I loved being out in nature, exploring, climbing trees. And so I first relearned about the concept of play at the Strong Coach Summit in Austin, Texas, from my now good friend / business partner / coach, Brooks Meadows. He gave a seminar on the importance of play, and I decided to attend that one because I knew that play was something that was missing in my life, because I had, had the play beaten out of me, and I knew that I wanted to get that back into my life. And so he had us, after his, spiel, he said, 3, 2, 1, go, and like, go play. And he didn't give any explanation. And some people got it. Like some people immediately just started, there was a basketball court. There was, like he mentioned, we could grapple with each other. That's what we did before, like practicing jujitsu. And some people just understood. But for me, growing up, I was like always kind of a loner. And so for me, like 3, 2, 1, go, I'm standing around. I was like, oh, shit, okay, I'm the only one who's not doing anything. What do I do? And I just looked around, and there was a tree, and I was like, okay, I'll climb this tree. And that was such a fun experience, getting to just be free of anybody's, like, not caring what anybody else was thinking, and just me being free and playing and having fun. So that was a wake-up call. So now P is play is incorporated into the captain's code.
Where were you in life that P had been beaten out of you?
That may have been a little bit of an exaggeration. But after the Marine Corps, I was lacking purpose. So after I got out of the Marine Corps, I became a CrossFit coach and was training about 4 hours a day, because at the time I was training to be a competitive CrossFit athlete. And that was my life. It was wake up, make breakfast, train for 4 hours, coach, eat dinner, go to bed. And that was it. And I realized that I wasn't fulfilled because I wasn't having the impact that I wanted on these men's lives, because they would come in saying, hey, I've been coming into the gym for so and so long now. Why am I not seeing the results? And I said, okay, well, I see that you've been consistent, so that's not the issue. How's your diet? How's your sleep? What are your stress levels like? And their answers would always be the same. Like, I'm super stressed out from work or relationship troubles, or, I'm lucky if I sleep 6, maybe 7 hours, and my diet is pretty good. And anybody who says their diet is pretty good is pretty full of shit. So I wasn't fulfilled doing what I was doing. And that was like the moment that drove me to dive headfirst into creating the Captain's Lifestyle full time as a coaching program. And it's since evolved from there. But then I got stuck into just building my business, and like, it was all work. And now, represented by balance, it's both. You got to have fun, and you also got to work hard. And for me, the whole point of my work is to have fun. Like, I'm now structuring my life and my work around me getting paid to live my lifestyle. So I've now created a YouTube show called Living the Captain's Lifestyle, where it's just me documenting, and my videographer documenting how I live my life, going to different, biohacking events and interviewing people on my podcast and having fun, doing crazy stunts and getting paid for that. Right. So I get paid through that. I get paid for interviewing and talking with cool people on my podcast. I get paid to coach people. So I've now designed my life to get paid for essentially doing what I would do anyways. So, plays a vastly underrated thing in most people's lives, right? Like, when was the last time you guys played, like sat down and either, whatever you like to do, build Legos, paint a picture, sing, whatever?
Like 5 minutes before this, I stopped playing to do this podcast. You want to see the trombone I was playing earlier, or that guitar, or all of these toys?
Nice. So you get it.
But I feel like I'm a little bit of an anomaly, not the usual answer.
Perfect.
Max?
Life's better when you have fun.
Yeah, but I think it's an interesting point to, I hear a lot about a work-life balance, and I was talking to Ali about this a lot a while ago. I don't really want a work-life balance. I want my day-to-day, my lifestyle to enjoy every aspect of that.
Yep.
I don't want to have to stop doing this so I can focus on that. I want to enjoy all of and structure my life, I think, in a more macro way, that I'm not clocking in to an 8-hour job that I,
Yeah, but somebody has to drive the bus. What about that? What about the guy that you're coaching that's like on the grind? We can't all just be vlogging and getting paid for a living.
We can do whatever it is that we enjoy doing, which is a big thing that I help. Who's going to
fix my electricity?
Somebody who loves that. I
think everybody would rather vlog like you.
I don't think you're right, Ali. I think there are people who find enjoyment in fixing something, helping someone. You're an extremely creative person, so you think everyone should be vlogging. But I think there are people who are I know people who are vlogging is my nightmare. I never want people to see my day-to-day. That's horrifying to me, to that person. I think there's people that find value and satisfaction in helping people, fixing something, accomplishing something. I think a better example is the gig economy. I can't see a lot of people finding real personal satisfaction delivering Postmates or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Over a long haul period of time. That's where I sort of worry about that kind of stuff.
The trap that I worry about is that we're making people who are, the traditional American dream, living that. We've now shifted it to, every moment of your life has to be purpose. And if you were helping the world exist through deliveries, that doesn't count. That's not good because you're not just fulfilled and swinging on a swing in your home, which I saw that you possibly have, and living exotically. And so then we're bringing that guilt to people that should be joyous in this lives that they are living, you know?
They're bringing themselves guilt if they feel guilty. No other person or no other event can make us feel any way. We are all in charge of our thoughts, feelings, and actions. Period. End of story. That is one of the main problems that we're facing as a society, is that we project all of our problems and shortcomings onto this circumstance, or this person made me feel this way. Absolutely not. That is the victim mentality. The definition of the victim mentality is an acquired personality trait in which a person tends to regard themselves as the victim of the negative actions of others, even in the absence of clear evidence. The victim mentality depends on a habitual thought process and attributions. So if we break that down a little bit, the victim mentality is an acquired personality trait. When we acquire something, that means we can unacquire it, right? So how can we do that? Well, the victim mentality depends on a habitual thought process and attributions. So once we change our thoughts and our actions, we can eliminate the victim mentality. Okay, so how do we change our thoughts and our actions? We change that first through words. When you guys hear abracadabra, what comes to mind?
Magician?
Kid that was
Magic.
super cool in high school.
Yeah, magic, right?
White gloves?
Yep. So abracadabra is actually translated from ancient Aramaic to mean, with my words, I create. And the definition of a spell is a word or combination of words of great influence. All right. So through the words that we use, we are quite literally casting spells. And depending on the words that we use, we can either cast good magic on ourselves or dark magic on ourselves and trap us in this box and blame everybody else for our problems. Right. So once we change our words, we change how we feel. When we change how we feel, we change how we act. When we change how we act, we've created new habits for ourselves, right? That creates a new personality. When you have a new personality, you've now created a new personal reality for yourself. And it all starts with upgrading your language.
Does this tie into manifesting? They say things, they speak lines over and over. Is it like that?
100%. That's part of it. That all starts.
I've never heard the
through
manifesting
words.
then fully changing your personality. I've not heard that aspect of it before. That's an interesting take on it.
Well, how manifesting is like actually real. Like if you look at the quantum physics behind it, it's instead of, this is what most people do. Most people will wait until a certain point or destination before they feel a certain way, right? Like when I retire, I'll be happy. Yeah. When I make $1 million, then I'll feel free, right? Manifestation is the exact opposite. Manifestation is feeling happy, free, fulfilled right now. And once you start to vibrate at that frequency, then you do start to attract these better circumstances into your life. So that's,
you're already happy. Who needs better
starts
circumstances? Why even then go from there? Just be happy with your bus driving job.
100%. There's nothing wrong with that.
Have you manifested anything lately?
Great question.
Yes. Yeah, good question. I have. I manifested both a negative and a positive situation. So when I first manifested the negative situation, I was like, oh, well, this is real. I'm going to change my thoughts and see what else I can manifest. So then I manifested a date with my dream girl. Like, I never even had this as a possibility on my mind. Like, she didn't even know who I was. And then it just like happened. I was like, holy. Long story short, we don't talk anymore, but just that, like, it was so cool to experience that, you know? So yeah, I believe in it 100%. I know people who, you know, that's like their primary means of.
Well, yeah, but how did you? What do you mean? You manifested like, I think that girl's cool. I hope she texts me one day. Or
Oh, I mean, yeah.
you
Do we
focus
want
on
to
it?
get
Did
into
you-
the story? We can.
Yeah,
we can get into.
Yes.
I need the
story. Okay.
secret because I feel like I'm pretty good at manifesting the bad stuff.
Okay. Okay.
I want to hear that story too. How you did that?
Yeah. So this was at a time when I had recently got out of a long-term relationship with my ex, and I was feeling lonely. I was feeling depressed. Honestly, that was like the first time that I had felt depressed since the Marine Corps, which is very unusual for me. Like, I'm very upbeat, happy, positive. And so that's when I like manifested the negative situation when I was all, you know, fucking woe is me and all this. And then I decided to switch it. And this was after attending Dr. Joe Dispenza advanced meditation retreat, which is where I learned this stuff. And so I started feeling as if I already had like the love of my life, you know, because that was the thing that I was at the time working towards. I thought that I wanted another relationship. So I started to feel as if I was already in a partnership and I already had that, right? And so if we go back before the meditation retreat, I was thinking, okay, so I want to manifest a new relationship for myself. What is the ideal relationship? And this or who is the ideal person? This woman who I manifested the date with came to mind. And she's big on social media, and I went through one of her coaching programs, which actually helped me build the Captain's Lifestyle. And I knew what her house looked like. She lives in Southern California, beautiful house. And so that was like what I was picturing, is like living in this house, you know, overlooking the ocean with her. So I was imagining that. And then the event happened. It was great, the meditation retreat. And I'm just going about my day. And then one day I get a DM from her on Instagram. And I about lose my mind. I was like, what is happening right now? Because another thing is, she doesn't follow anybody. She follows no one. So it's like, how would she DM me? And so we start talking, and
it was really her. It wasn't. Just kidding.
Yeah, 100%.
I feel like that's what happened to me.
Yeah, baby.
100%.
And then I'm buying a one-way ticket to Asia, and I'm like, what could happen?
Yeah, so I was in Venice Beach at the time, and we had been talking, you know, on and off for about a month or so. And she lives in SoCal, and Venice and SoCal are about 2 hours apart. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to invite her over. And the reason why I knew that I had to was because I knew that I wasn't ready. Like, she is retired essentially at 27, you know, multi-millionaire, extremely successful. Like, she's healthy, happy. She's got all the things, right? And for me, I'm still working my way up there. And I don't know what a healthy relationship is supposed to be like. You know, I've got theories from what I've learned, but I've never actually had a real loving, quality connection. So I knew that the only way to get this to happen is to do it, is to take action. Fear shows us what we need most. So like, okay, I know that I feel this tense sensation, this fear, this reluctance to invite her over. Therefore, I must do it. So I did. I said, hey, you want to come up to Venice? We can get dinner and hang out. And she said yes. And she drove the 2 hours to Venice. And it was a wonderful night. We walked the Venice boardwalk, which I love, got dinner. And she could tell that I was not ready. Like, based on our interaction, I knew that I wasn't ready, and that she could also pick up on the fact that like this wasn't going to work. And she let me know that. And I basically told her, I was like, hey, like, I know that you think this now, but I'm just telling you, like you are literally the most beautiful person I've ever seen. And I manifested this, and she's all about that stuff.
Yeah.
And then I completely changed, because once I saw what was possible, then I was like, okay, in order to get her, I must become this person. Right. So then I started to become this person by feeling that way and acting that way. And we ended up hanging out again. And that time was even more magical. And she was like, holy shit, I didn't expect this from you. I was like, I know. So, yeah. So that was it. That was fun times.
Fascinating.
It's a pretty serious manifest.
It was.
You got
Yeah.
there.
It was.
Well, she did slip into your DMs, and you do have abs. Is it possible to manifest without abs?
100%.
Okay. Confirmed.
100%. It is significantly easier, not manifestation, but just overall quality of life when you are in shape and attractive. Like, it's just a fact that people buy things from attractive people, right? There's a reason why models are influential, and they can essentially, they're influencers. They could promote whatever product people are going to buy, is because, they can relate to them, and they're beautiful, right? Nobody wants to listen to some dude who doesn't take care of himself, right? So if you're attractive and you understand how to communicate, of course that gives you an advantage. And it's like, people think, oh, I'm just not attractive. That's such a fucking victim mentality thought process. Like, you can work on your body. You can do things to where you do feel attractive, right?
Max decided he was hot.
Yeah, and I think so much of it is attitude, and people pick 100%. Up on that attitude, and people, and
it's presence, and it's confidence, and of course, body and physique go into it. That's all in your control, right? So if you don't like a certain aspect of it, what's that?
That I should wear makeup every day, and I think about this all the time. Yes, but I'm wearing aggressive some right now, which is weird that this came up in the conversation. I was just shooting a music video, playing around.
Nice.
And I feel like even if it is someone like you who's like, I don't like makeup, the way I'm going to act when I am fully made up is like 1% more confident potentially. And so that 1% over a whole lifetime, how does that compound into now I'm a billionaire because things just doors opened slightly more,
If you rely on anything, makeup, abs, whatever, to make you feel confident, it's not real confidence.
So then you don't need to be fit. That's your argument? You don't need to take care of yourself and present well because it's about internal, not external.
That can help if you have both. Like, if you are, the typical attractive and you're internally confident, yes, that's both is obviously best, right? I've had I've been physically attractive, but lacked the inner confidence. And then it's like, being physically attractive doesn't really matter because I didn't know how to utilize it, right? If you have actual confidence and you're not physically attractive, then you can still get huge advantages in life, because confidence, like, you fucking walk into a store and, like go behind the counter and start pretending you work there. If you're confident, like it's gonna be a while before people start to question you. Like there's videos of people, you know, who wear like construction vests and like carry a tool bag and just walk into stadiums and like pretend they're the maintenance people. So confidence can really take you a long way. Now, if you have the attractiveness that goes along with it, and you're really, the attractiveness only plays a role if, you know, you've got a social presence, right? Then it helps tremendously. Or in, I guess, face-to-face interactions, it can help. But from my experience and, you know, knowing a little bit about marketing, people buy things from attractive people because they want that thing. There's a reason why models are attractive. I was thinking about this the other day. I wonder what the statistics are now that companies are starting to use like overweight and unhealthy models. Like, I wonder if sales have dropped because of that. I have no idea, but that would be
gone up
interesting.
because people feel seen.
Yeah, sale is a sale, I suppose. But I agree the confidence. I believe it was the landmark example of Dumbo, who displayed confidence and thus could fly. I think a lot of people could sort of take a clue from that. And because I think maybe part of it is you don't need it, but it helps, and then you learn.
Well, need it for what?
You know what I mean? You need it to get started. You need it to fake the idea.
You don't need it to get started. You just get started. You just go. But to your point on the Dumbo, our minds are infinitely more powerful than we can even imagine. Like, whatever you tell yourself is your reality. You can significantly increase your physical and mental performance simply by telling yourself a different story. That's what I was talking. Everything comes back to the words. If you tell yourself a different story, you now become a new person, and now new things are possible for you. So I teach my clients this, in the ice bath or in workouts. I do this. I play these mind tricks with myself. Like, an example I give is a max hang test, see how long I can hang on to the bar.
Mm-hmm.
And
we're going to need a number before you move on. What's your record?
It was either I think it's 2 minutes. It's 2 minutes. And I imagine maybe it was 2.5 minutes. I don't know. I imagine I can get to 3 minutes. If I train a little bit more, and with these mindset techniques that I'm about to share, it's helped tremendously. So I instead of thinking what I would typically think is, oh my God, my forearms hurt, they're burning, I could just hop off and it'd be okay, right? Or like, yeah, this is really uncomfortable. I've been going for long enough. I can come down.
I know every time I pick up a weight, I'm like, wow, this is really heavy. I'm like, that's the point.
Yes. And if you tell yourself it's really heavy, it's going to be really heavy.
Yeah.
If you tell yourself that I can do this and this is lightweight, then it's going to be.
So do you have a mantra, or do you have what do you do when you're hanging there?
Yeah. So for the hang test, it's like, what if I could hold on for 30 more seconds? What if my life depended on it and there was literally nothing underneath me, and I'm, help is on the way in 30 seconds? Like, can I hang on for 30 more seconds? What would it mean about me if I was able to not ignore the feeling, but get curious about the feeling? What is this sensation that I've deemed as uncomfortable? Can I get curious about that? What does it actually feel like? Why does it have to be a bad feeling? What if I could enjoy this sensation? So telling yourself these type of things in the ice bath, in workouts, in breath work, in whatever uncomfortable situation, the more that we try to escape the uncomfortable situation or get beyond it or wish we were in a different circumstance, the more uncomfortable we are going to be. So the more that we can accept and get curious about and really just, accept our present situation, not the more comfortable we will be, but the more at peace we will be. So when I'm in the ice bath, I can meditate. I've learned to love it. And it's my happy place. And it all comes through the mind. Of course, there's breathwork techniques that go along with it, but really whatever story you tell yourself in your head is going to be your reality.
Dang. Yeah, and what you said earlier was really cool. Fear shows you what you need most. It seems like every time you come across something that's like, oh, that would suck or make me uncomfortable, you're like, good, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, it'll suck as much as you allow it to suck. Honestly.
So you're not pushing yourself into the suck, you're just denying it. You're like, it's not going to suck.
No, you still go into it, but to make it easier, you play these mind tricks with yourself. Another one is smiling during a workout. Like I was doing wall sits yesterday, and if you've done wall sits before, like they can fucking suck. And so I was sitting there like my legs were shaking. It was at the end of a workout, and I just started smiling. And that does two things. One, if you're competing against people, it gives you the biggest fucking competitive advantage because they look over, they see you smiling, and they're like huffing and puffing, exhausted. They're like, oh, fuck. Like they're going to give up. Right. And two, for you, it trains you to enjoy those experiences because when we smile, serotonin is released in the brain. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter that's, responsible for many things. One of them is boosting our mood. So if we can learn to enjoy these uncomfortable or unpleasurable experiences by tricking our brain, we actually start to enjoy them. Right? Yeah. So the mind is fucking powerful.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, I want to go back a little bit because before we were talking about defining success and not, letting those outside signals impact you. If there's somebody listening, one of our fit heads today, that needs to define success for themselves, how do you coach that?
That's up to them. Success to me is leading a fulfilling life, a balanced, fulfilling life. And that's going to be different for each person. So in general, what I define success as is improving every single day, like trying to get 1% better in whatever that thing is, health, business, relationships, the impact that you're having, getting better at whatever it is that you want to get better at it. Stagnation is death, which is where a lot of people today are living. They're just caught up in this autopilot of, they wake up, they don't particularly have any motivation or drive to get out of bed. They may, hit snooze, scroll their phone, and then reluctantly get up, drink a cup of liquid cortisol to get themselves going, go to a job that they don't like, sit there hunched over at a computer, type in under fluorescent blue lights, complaining about their boss to their coworkers, driving home, stuck in traffic, pissed off, complain about, they get home and their wife has something that she's got to bicker about, and then they have an argument, they make dinner, watch TV, go to bed. Like that's relatively typical, right? And they're in a state of survival. They're really just existing. They're not thriving, which is my purpose, to make thriving standard for people. So if that's not the case for you, success is getting closer to that, to what we mentioned earlier. Is what I imagine to be true is that we can get to this state to where every single moment of our lives is enjoyable. and not artificial enjoyment, not like doing drugs or alcohol or, masturbation,
Smiling for no reason.
That can help. If you are feeling depressed, smile. Like, it does release serotonin that will help you feel better. But once you can start to balance your life and slowly start to optimize these different areas of your life, I do believe that you can get to a place to where every waking moment of your day it's not perfect, but you enjoy it. Like, there's purpose behind what you're doing. You're making a bigger impact in your family's life, in the world, whatever. So Rob Deerdeck is one of the guys who is doing this very well. He's who I'm learning now some stuff from, because I loved him growing up, his shows, and I just now became aware to the fact that he's all about this lifestyle too. It's like, yeah, that's awesome. So he's significantly farther ahead than where I am, but he's very big on like everything that I am. Holistic health is the way that we are able to have the capacity to be happy, healthy, and more productive. So he tracks his sleep, he manages his time effectively, all these things. And he designs his life around what he loves doing, right? So similar to me, once I design my life around me just living and I get paid for it, that's going to lead to me living a fulfilling life. So going back to the point of, can an electrician live this way? 100%. It doesn't matter what your job is. Like, okay, if you enjoy helping people, with, keeping their electricity on or whatever, and you like nerd out about that stuff, and then that allows you the time to spend with your family, that's great. This goes back to balance. Like, everybody's got different balance. Like, not everybody should be like a multimillionaire, going around vlogging. If you're happy and fulfilled being an electrician for your 9 to 5 and then coming home and spending quality time with your family, that's amazing, right? Like, there's people in third world countries that are living in tribes that are the happiest fucking people on earth. So happiness, once you get above like base necessities for living, anything above that does not equate to happiness.
Yeah, 70K is now the number, I think. Perhaps different based on where you live, but anything above that will not make you any more happy or proven.
And even 70K in like Indonesia, like,
I mean,
you've got nothing.
It's
Wyoming.
that story about the fisherman who's sitting on a dock fishing, and he's like, I could scale my business, and then starts catching more fish and selling more of them, and then he gets a boat, and then he franchises, and now he's made a crap ton of money, and he sells his business so he can go sit on a dock and fish in retirement.
It's all finding balance. There's no one right answer. The problem is when people seek external validation for themselves. Like, people think, okay, when I build this successful business, then I will be successful in society's eyes, right? And I ask people this all the time, like, why are you going to college? Why are you working the job that you are now? A lot of times the answer is because it makes good money. Okay, so what? Do you enjoy the life that you're spending 60% of your time at? No? Then why the fuck does the money matter if you're not enjoying your life? Right? So do something that you enjoy. It's okay if you make less money, right? There's ways around these things. Like, when I decided, and the etymology of the word decide is to cut off, like to, you're no longer this thing. You've decided, cut off. Now you're choosing this. I quit my job in Saudi Arabia to go full time into building the captain's lifestyle. I knew that I wasn't going to make as much money as I was in Saudi Arabia. I didn't care because now I'm in charge of everything. I'm in charge of my schedule. I'm in charge of how much money I make. I'm in charge of what I do on a day-to-day basis. So for me, freedom is more valuable than money. Now, of course, having money will allow you to have more freedom, and that's what I'm now building. Right? So it's all, the answer to every question is it depends for the most part.
So, yeah, it sounds like you're balancing coaching people back from what they really think their goals are while also helping them achieve more things.
The first month of my program, we spend on everything from the neck up. So we start off with mindset. That's a lot of these, language things that we've been talking about, telling yourself a new story, developing a growth mindset. After that, we go over the most important part and most transformational part of the program, which is the MVP process, crafting your mission, vision, values, and purpose. With those in place, those then act as a filter for any decision or opportunity that comes your way. Because a lot of
filter
times,
should be a compass, obviously, right?
I'm glad you said that because
I'm selling compasses. No,
I call your core values your compass directions, because if you follow them, your core values, if you live your life by your core values, it's going to lead you to where you want to go. I call your mission statement your treasure map, because if you follow that, it's going to lead you to life's ultimate treasure, which is your purpose. So for me, my purpose is to make thriving standard. My treasure map, mission statement, core values are all leading me towards that purpose. So armed with those, motivation no longer becomes as big of a factor. A lot of guys come to me because they don't feel motivated. Well, no shit. You fucking hate your job and you're not having any fun in your life. Of course you're not motivated to get up and live your day, right? So once we define what it is that they actually want in life, what their end goal is, what all of this that they're living is for, right? So we decide that we're no longer going to be this victim of circumstance. We've decided that we want to change. Okay, so we've cut off that version. Now let's define what it is that we're working towards. So now we're, moving away from who we were in the past and moving towards who we are going to be in the future. And once you have that, you don't rely on motivation because you rely on purpose. So knowing your why, understanding your why is crucial. That's one of the primary reasons why people don't reach their goals. It's because they haven't defined why. One, they haven't made clear goals. Two, they haven't defined why they actually want those goals. And three, they haven't changed their environment. Environment is huge. So a personal example, when I quit drinking, I didn't change my environment. I had the why and I decided to quit drinking, but my environment stayed the same. So I would still go out to the bars with friends and, they'd ask me like, oh, come on, have a drink. It's just this one time. It's this event. Dude, it's the Marine Corps birthday. You're really not going to have a drink for the Marine Corps birthday? Yes, that's what I'm telling you. I already told you why. It was ruining my life. I don't drink.
That's a pretty good.
So unless you have, extreme mental fortitude, if you surround yourself with the type of people who are so insecure with themselves that they're now trying to bring you back down to their level, that's extremely difficult if you're surrounded by that on a daily basis. So surround yourself with like-minded people who are striving for better for themselves, because they're not going to bring you back down. They're going to call you forward, which is why I've created the crew, which is my men's community.
Yeah. Why just men?
Because I'm a man and I do not pretend to understand the intricacies of women's problems. The cycle, that's something that I have never experienced. I don't know how your mood changes when you're ovulating and how cravings, play a role when you're pregnant. Like, I don't know any of that. I've never experienced that. So I work with men because I understand men better. I understand problems from a masculine perspective. And I also believe that all of the problems that we're facing in society today are due to weak men, due to a lack of masculinity. And women have been having to step up in a more masculine role with this whole, girl boss movement and, I don't need no man. Well, that's great if that's what you actually want. But a lot of women would prefer to not work a 9 to 5 in a fucking office building. And they want to just, sit at home and be creative and paint and, write poetry, whatever they want, take care of the kids.
What about men that want to do that?
Do it.
I feel like inherently in what you're saying is that men and women are so very different.
We are.
That
men and women are not equal.
I'm benefiting from all the things that you're saying in this episode. I didn't feel like it wasn't for me, but now it kind of does.
So from a health standpoint, everything in the captain's code, for example, applies to women. Now, if we start talking about the balance between masculine and feminine, that's where it's different. And even each individual person has a different masculine and feminine balance, right? Like, so you can have a masculine woman and a feminine man, but in terms of a relationship, there has absolutely got to be polarity for there to be like that fire and like that actual connection and like love making. There's got to be that polarity. So you can have the polarity in, if you've got a feminine man and a masculine woman, like that absolutely exists. And so if you're happy with that, great. I believe that a lot of the problems are because the men are not men. And of course, I'm speaking generally, but what I mean by that is integrity is one of the highest forms of masculinity today. Not today, ever. And there's an extreme lack of integrity with most men. They have trouble keeping promises to themselves. They don't do the things that they say that they're going to do. A lot of them are driven by lust or greed. And so most things, especially in like business and politics, are driven by monetary motives, right? They don't actually care about health, for example. They just care about how they can make more money. There's so many examples of this in business. Companies, mayonnaise, for example, comes to mind. Mayonnaise is made with, what is it? I think canola oil or soybean oil. And there's some mayonnaise that are labeled with, made with avocado oil or made with olive oil that is healthier for you. But then you turn it around and the first ingredient is still soybean oil. So the companies know that if they market this, most people aren't going to have the knowledge to like turn it over because they just trust the marketing. So the companies know this. They don't give a shit about your health. They just want to make more money. So that's just a very small example of lacking integrity. It's like basically lying to them. Like, hey, made with olive oil. You turn it over, soybean oil. Then at the bottom, there's olive oil, like the last ingredient. So that's just one example of how integrity is largely missing in today's men. And comfort seeking. Most men are just living average, mediocre, comfortable lives, addicted to instant pleasure and gratification, addicted to pornography, which is why they, can't get hard and have good sex and maintain a healthy, quality relationship. I work with men who have had porn addictions that have ruined their marriages. Yeah, we could go on about that, but the masculine feminine balance is a big problem, clearly.
I mean, I totally agree. Integrity is important, and if companies function with integrity, like you're saying, we would all be better off with our mayonnaise being healthier. Yeah, I'm totally on your side for that, but I also feel like I should act with integrity. And if integrity is the highest form of masculinity, does that make me masculine? And are you saying women are walking around without integrity because they're not masculine?
Women are more emotional, men are more logical. So it's not that women necessarily lie more. It's just that they say how they're feeling at the moment. And if their feelings change in 5 minutes, then the answer could be completely different. Right? So that's one
feelings
example.
Can't change in 5 minutes as a man?
I can control my feelings.
And I can't?
You can.
Okay.
With my program.
No women.
I mean, I want to sign up. I want to be a captain.
Honestly,
Captain.
A lot of the messages that I get are from women saying,
about
hey,
your
do you work
abs.
with women?
Oh,
No.
Yes. I'm just kidding.
I really don't get any messages from women like that.
Ooh.
Usually.
Except
But
that one loaded.
no,
chick
I
down
get a
south.
lot of messages from women saying, hey, thank you for doing what you do. Like, I wish more men listen to you, because they know that men need it, because they're the ones that are suffering from weak men. I had one woman message me saying, hey, I've lost respect for my husband because he lets our daughter walk all over him. It's like, this is causing problems, that men are so weak mentally and physically. So yeah, I get a lot of messages from women. I refer them to other coaches.
Interesting. Okay. I did want to touch on something else too. You talked about how you're productive as possible. Tell me about how, because you're speaking about balance, right? The play and the work.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I feel like our culture pushes us to be as productive as possible when really we're just on a hamster wheel. Yeah. Can you just speak to that and what you mean by as productive as possible, and how is that beneficial, and how you coach other people to be that?
Yeah, productive can mean doing nothing. This is what a lot of people don't understand, is that people think productive is just doing more and more and more and more and more. Well, that's the problem with a lot of people, is that they're already doing way too much and they're burning themselves out. And this was like me when I went to the advanced meditation retreat. It's a week of, in seminars and meditations from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. And there's really no time in between. You get breaks, of course, but there's really no time to sit down and do dedicated work. So I was like freaking out in the seminars and the meditations. I was like, what is the fucking point of this? Like, I could be working right now. And the more that going back to the more that you try to resist or get out of your current situation, the more uncomfortable you will be. I was extremely uncomfortable. In fact, before the retreat, he sent out a program that it was like mandatory that everybody had to go through. You watch these videos and sit down and meditate. And man, the first time I sat down to do this meditation, it was like 45 minutes. And I closed my eyes and I just started, it was one of the most difficult experiences of my life. Just sitting there and doing nothing. I was surprised. I was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm going to die. Like, I've got this itch that I've got to scratch, and I should be making food right now, or I've got to send this email. Like, my brain, because I've conditioned it that way, to always go from thing to thing to thing. And then to now just sit down and do nothing in air quotes, was something completely new for me. And obviously that's exactly what I needed, was just to, center myself, relax. And now I understand the importance of meditation, because oftentimes when I am having trouble remembering something, the more that I try to remember it, like force myself to remember that thing, it never works that way. But when I take a shower or when I sit down and meditate, then the idea pops into my head, because we can't create from a state of survival. So if we're always in a state of survival, meaning upregulated in this stressed out, alert state, evolutionarily speaking, our brains aren't worried about, creating anything. We're worried about moving away from danger or, killing the animal on the hunt, right? Once you downregulate your nervous system and essentially downregulate your nervous system to, instead of fight or flight, rest and digest mode, that gives your brain time to create. So doing nothing, meditating, journaling, reading, going for a walk, all these things that are labeled as, doing nothing, are actually vital to the success and well-being of your business. This is obviously a bigger problem with entrepreneurs who are just always stressed out, going from thing to thing. You'd be shocked how, if you sit down and meditate or even just go for a walk, is fantastic, as the forward movement has been shown to help as well with your thought process. Scheduling that time, that downtime for yourself, is how you're able to keep going. I watched an interview with Mr. Beast recently, who's the world's most successful YouTuber. And he said that he got caught up in that trap because he loves making videos. Like, that's what he loves, right? So he said he would spend months like not sleeping and just working constantly, and that he would burn out. And then he would do that because he would view these doing nothing activities, like mindlessly watching TV or, just hanging out with his girlfriend, as not productive. But it wasn't until he started incorporating those things that was what actually led him to continue on the business side of things. So it all comes down to balance, and that's going to be different per person. But if you're stressed out, the answer is not do more. The answer is usually do less.
Yeah, interesting. We can't create from a state of survival and that's
where most people are trying to create from.
Right.
Especially if you've got a deadline. And I've been guilty of this too. Like, oh my gosh, this thing's coming up. Like, I know I should, take a rest, but I really got to keep going. That's when it's most important to slow down, focus on your breathing, especially, which I'm shocked we didn't talk about breathing.
I haven't this whole time.
Huh? You haven't?
Nothing, I'm kidding.
You haven't breathed? Well, breathing is a whole nother topic, but that's when it's most important to calm down. When you're stressed out, when you think that you need to keep going, that's a lot of times when it's time to take a breather.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for chatting with us today.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking fun questions and pushing back on the things that I said. That's awesome.
It's been fun playing with you.
It's been fun playing with you guys. Thank you for playing with me.
Of course. Where can the Fitheads find you and the Captain's Code and such, your lifestyle?
At Captain_Taylor_Morgan on YouTube. YouTube's going to be my primary platform, but I'm on Instagram and TikTok as well.
Okay, awesome. Thank you again.
Thank you.
And thank you to the Fitheads. If you can rate and review on Apple Podcasts, that helps us out a whole lot. And we'll see you next week.